and a very warm welcome to Meghan and Harry News YouTube channel. It's been a busy week for Harry arriving in the UK to give evidence in court, being the first royal to give evidence in court for over 100 years. Harry flew back to the USA earlier this week and even took photographs with the flight attendant. Here we see Prince Harry leaves surprise gift for flight attendant as he dashes back to US. Even in an article they still have to use the word dash, as in he is in a rush to get away, implying he has done something wrong. He's not dashing anywhere, he's just going back home. His home and family in the USA. What do you expect him to do? Hang about in the UK where his family, the media and the establishment cause trouble for him and refuse to offer any security? Of course he's going to want to go back home where he is wanted. It says here, Prince Harry has jetted back to California to be with wife Meghan and children, Lilibet and Archie, after a 3-day trip to the UK. He was snapped on an American Airlines flight with beaming flight attendant and TikTok user Holden Pattern, and left him a surprise present. Prince Harry left a flight attendant a surprise gift as he jetted back to the US from the UK yesterday. The Duke of Sussex gave a free copy of his tell-all memoir Spare to Holden Pattern, a member of the cabin crew who looked after him on the flight across the Atlantic. A gleeful Holden shared a picture of himself posing with a beaming Prince Harry on board the American Airlines flight on TikTok, and said in a second snap that he had found the book in my luggage that a passenger gave to me. The media are complaining that Harry didn't stop by to say hello to King Charles or William or other members of the firm, and that he dashed back. I think the UK media need to realise that Harry just doesn't want to be in the UK and doesn't like it there. Harry wasted no time in jetting back to the US to be with his family after visiting the UK to give evidence in his trial against MGN Limited, in which he faced cross-examination and became the first royal to take the stand since the 1890s. It is understood the 38-year-old did not meet up with Dad Charles or brother William during his recent 3-day visit to the UK. Holden, who is a pilot and describes himself as a travel influencer, revealed how he had just found this in my luggage that a passenger gave me. He said Prince Harry was his passenger prince. Harry is seen dressed casually in a simple black t-shirt and jeans. He flew to the UK on Sunday evening, hours after celebrating his daughter's Lilibet's 2nd birthday. They believe that Harry stayed at Frogmore Cottage. It states here it's believed Harry also stayed at Frogmore Cottage during his brief visit to the UK for the coronation, although the couple are expected to have moved out fully by the end of this summer. While the royal family appeared to publicly snub Harry's daughter's birthday, Zara Tindall's 3 children, Mia, Lena and Lucas, and Peter Phillips' daughters, Savannah and Isla, were reportedly in attendance. Hello and a very warm welcome to Meghan and Harry News YouTube channel. The court case continues, and we heard some interesting statements from ex-journalists and anyone who has been following the videos on here. We'll know about the obvious and orchestrated smear campaign that has been ongoing for the last 4 years. I've talked about it non-stop, and here it is coming out in the court case and the involvement of presenters and the palace being in cahoots. It is being suggested that Piers Morgan is in bed with the firm. No big shocker there, seeing that he is invited to dinner with Camilla and out to lunch with Beatrice and Eugenie, but let's see what it states here. Piers Morgan injected information into Prince Harry stories, court told. It says here a former Daily Mirror royal editor said her former boss, Piers Morgan, would inject information into her stories without explaining where it was from. So him being the editor would take another journalist's story or article and put information into it and not state where it was from. Now, if I was a journalist and my name was going to be listed in the newspaper as the writer of the article, I would be very wary of someone putting in information into my article without any provenance or explanation as to where it came from. For example, what if the information is false? I as the writer could then be sued as it is my name listed as the writer of the article. The journalist in question is Jane Kerr, who was given evidence in Prince Harry's hacking case against Mirror Group newspapers MGN. Miss Kerr, who worked for the Daily Mirror's royal team from 1996 to 2007, told the High Court that Mr. Morgan would add snippets of information into stories she had authored. She said he might have been speaking to someone at the palace, but she would not know who. So here we have a clear reference to Piers being connected to the palace, even way back then, as Harry has stated, that the firm are working with the toxic media and leaking stories, and this seems to have been happening well for as long as I can remember. Is it any wonder why Piers Morgan is so obsessively hateful with his continuous negative outbursts and article and social media posts about Meghan and Harry? Is he being directed by the firm to do this, or is he just carrying on in this insanely obsessive manner out of his own weird interests? It continues, Miss Kerr said that Mr. Morgan, who was editor of the paper from 1995 to 2004, took a real genuine interest in the coverage. In her written witness statement, Miss Kerr said he engaged with the palace press officers and would occasionally direct or inject information into a story. So Harry claims that phone tapping was going on, and if that's the case, not only was information gathered that way, but also if what this journalist is saying is true, then the palace also had a direct line to Piers Morgan, who then took other journalists' stories and then placed additional information into them from palace sources. It then states that the journalist was asked about a story reporting that a young Prince Harry had taken drugs at parties, which included reports that Prince Charles had been hugely relieved to have been told his son had only used cannabis spliffs. Prince Harry's barrister, David Sherborne, put it to her that it was private information which could have been obtained from listening to voicemail messages asking, "Where did you get the quotes from, Miss Kerr?" She replied, "I can't say for sure where I got them from. I can't remember. It's possible Piers gave them to me. It's possible the palace. I don't remember." Mr. Sherborne responded, "You're saying the palace would have given you what Prince Charles said in highly sensitive meetings with his son." She repeatedly said that she could not remember the sources of stories published decades ago. The problem with court cases like this is that it seems that there is only so far people will go, and they will not name names or just go the extra mile and just say where information came from, so they end up saying, "I can't remember." It continues, Miss Kerr told the court she could have got the information from the palace, despite the media having been told during this period that Prince Harry and Prince William were off limits to reporters in the wake of the death of Princess Diana. "You're suggesting some palace spokesperson would have casually tossed it to you as a little morsel to add colour to your story?" Mr. Sherborne asked. When she said she did not know where it had come from and could easily have been a throwaway line, Mr. Sherborne said, "That's total speculation, isn't it?" Miss Kerr said she could not remember the details, but would not have got it through any illegal means. Mr. Sherborne asked, "Or was this something Mr. Morgan injected into the article?" "Possibly, but I just don't know," Miss Kerr replied. So it is possible that many of the royal stories from that time were actually leaked out by the firm to the likes of Piers Morgan. It's been proved that phone tapping went on with numerous people, as the Mirror paid out $1.2 million in damages to 8 people in 2015. But when it comes to Harry, many of these stories could be leaks from the palace and maybe phone hacking as well, and it seems this is an area where journalists are afraid to give any specifics. And it's that because if you did start naming names, then it would lead you to those at the palace in the highest positions, and would show they are in bed with the media and presenters and editors like Piers Morgan, who now spend most of their time writing articles mocking and disparaging Meghan and Harry, simply because the firms see them as a threat to the royal family, because they left and are financing themselves as opposed to the firm who are funded by the poor UK taxpayer. Let me know your opinion in the comments.